Hello and welcome to another episode of the Autistic Experience, an autism and ADHD podcast for those of us with more time on our hands than a very clumsy chef. My name is Kieran, as always, joined by Chloe.
Oi.
Oi. It is the 9th of June as this comes out, so happy middle of the year. Hope you got everyone a present. No, I'm just kidding. There's no present giving around this time, so don't worry about it. New episodes of this come out every other Sunday at noon UK time, and you can also go follow the show on Instagram at The Autistic Experience. So how this podcast works is more or less we just talk about what's been going on in our lives over the last 2 weeks or so, and try and find some sort of very thin thread to try and connect that to the existence of ourselves as autistic and ADHD individuals. Mm-hmm. So, let's see what's been going on.
What's been good?
Apparently my brain is only processing about half the words I say, but not usually. But usually what it does is every other word, not half of each word.
Every word.
Yeah. So, let's start that again. So, what's been going on in the last couple of weeks for us? Well, I think it's been fairly music-based.
Yeah.
These last 2 weeks. A couple of nights ago, as this goes out, we went to quite a large concert, which we'll get onto.
We could
Both
do
are
both,
correct.
yeah. Or either.
We'll talk about that in
We can get
little
into
bit.
and onto it at
Yeah.
the same time.
But I think the thing I want to kind of cover first is a couple of weeks ago now, actually, played in the Whit Friday brass band contests, which, if you don't know what they are, and I'm assuming that's pretty much all of you listening.
And me.
Yeah. The Whit Friday brass band competitions are kind of a traditional thing by this point, where like brass bands from pretty much all over the world, actually, but predominantly within the country, travel up to one of the areas kind of southeast of Manchester and just go around a load of different villages and take part in brass band contests, which are basically where you have one piece that you've practiced to death and you play that at every single one, and you basically just try and get a high score. You know how competitions work.
Does everybody play the same piece? Or
No, each band has their own piece that
like
they've
star
picked.
piece.
Yeah, but they play that at every single thing. So we did 10, I think. So yeah, we had to play the same piece 10 times. Granted, it was about 7 hours from the first one to the last one.
Oof.
Okay. But yeah, so as you can imagine, it was quite a long afternoon, evening. But I don't think there's too much of interest to the average autistic ADHD listener, aside from a very classic thing which happened right at the end, like after we'd finished playing for the evening, where, you know, we took our instruments, we just kind of chucked him back on the coach because, you know, it was 11:15 and we were done. To which I kind of assumed that since we were finished, we would take the coach back to the meeting point so we could all go home and go to sleep.
Yeah. That's, I think, fair.
So I went on the coach with everyone else and just kind of got into my seat and sat there and just started scrolling on my phone a little bit. And then a little while later, I looked up and noticed that there was no one else on the coach with me. Not anymore. Because as it turns out, they'd all gone to go have a drink. And no one had mentioned that was part of the plan.
So you just ended up on the coach by yourself?
Yeah, for about 45 minutes.
Oh my god! Were you on your phone the whole time and didn't notice?
No, I noticed. Yeah, I noticed
but
after
then
about 10-15 minutes.
You just stayed on the coach for another 20.
Because I was like, well, at that point, I was like, okay, I'm tired. I don't want, like, everyone else is going to be drinking and socializing. I'm like, no.
That's fair. No, I thought somehow you'd managed to sit there for 45 minutes and not notice
I'm
you
not
by
that
yourself.
bad. I'm not that oblivious. Come on. No, I got to about 10 minutes and was like, oh, there is no one else here. I thought the plan was to, go home. I would quite like to go home, please.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, no one had mentioned that was the plan beforehand. No one had mentioned it on the coach. I don't remember anyone saying the words, we're going to go have a drink afterwards.
It was probably quite a standard spur of the moment thing after the final performance where one guy was like, hey, should we go to the pub?
I don't know, maybe.
And everyone's like, yeah.
But also, one important thing to know, which I think we can all identify with, is that there was about 45 minutes of me being just sat on the coach by myself. Not at any point did anyone come back to the coach and go, hey, Kieran, we're just all off having a drink. Do you want to come join us? To which I can go, no, it's all right. I want a bit of quiet time. I don't think anyone noticed that I wasn't there.
Yeah, that old classic.
Which is about right.
Mm-hmm. I had this same thing a few weeks ago when I was at the diving group, and like everybody had kind of split off into little groups, and I just ended up kind of sitting by myself. And there was one group of people talking inside that were quite aware of me sitting on my own, that just didn't do anything. And there was another group of people sitting outside around a table that also didn't say anything. And so I just spent loads of time on my phone, just literally in the middle of this room, just sitting by myself. And you're like, why? Because I would go out of my way to, go and ask someone if they were all right, if they were sitting on their own.
Yeah.
Or if I'd noticed they weren't there, I'd go to the coach and be like, you okay? Or just send someone a message, because I assume you've got a chat.
Yeah.
So if they know you're in the chat and they knew you were there, somebody can message and be like, where are you?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I mean, you would have thought that even if they didn't know for sure that I was still on the coach, they would have gone, has anyone seen Kieran in the last half an hour, 45 minutes?
Like you could have just gone missing.
I could have been kidnapped.
Yeah, genuinely. But we've got a very, very good way of managing to fade into the background.
Yeah,
haven't we,
it's
really?
kind of creepy, really. Like we're very good at camouflage for some reason.
Yeah, even if we don't mean to be.
No, exactly. From a logical standpoint, it makes absolutely no sense that we're making any sort of fuss about it. Just because, we're quite happy sitting on our own.
Yeah.
For the most part. We don't really want to be part of the big conversations, but we like to have a choice about it. We like to be asked. So even if someone did come back or like message and just go, hey, Kieran, we're having a drink. Do you want to come join us? I'd still be like, no, thanks. I'm all right. I would still stay on the coach of my own free will. It's just that I like to have a choice in the matter.
Yeah, well, it's like if somebody asks, then it shows that they're remotely aware of you and that they're actually bothered about whether you're okay. Whereas if nobody asks, then you just kind of think, I'm not bothered, are they?
Yeah.
If people don't ask, then they haven't thought about you, basically. I think that's just their kind of logical thought process. Or maybe they have and they've just kind of brushed it off, but they haven't thought about it enough to kind of ask if you're okay or ask where you are. I think we like people to make an effort, don't we? To feel like we're included. We don't want to... That's another thing, yeah. Like we don't like butting in, do we? And I think we're quite used to being pushed out a little bit. And so we don't like forcing ourselves into a situation. It's much easier if somebody kind of brings us into a situation.
Yeah. Well, because at that point, then we know we've been, like, we're wanted.
Yeah. So if like we're cut off from the group and nobody kind of asks about that, like no one asks you being on the coach, like even if you wanted to, you would never just get up and go in after everybody else and just insert yourself, would you? So It's like we need someone to bring us in, or we need someone to give us the option to go in.
Yeah.
Because if nobody asks us if we want to join in, then we think it's totally just impossible. We're not allowed to join in. We're obviously not invited. So why would we show up?
Yeah, there's so many times, like not necessarily in my experience, but like I've read a lot of accounts of other people where like someone at work has said, "Oh, we're going out for a few drinks after work." And you just kind of take that as information. You go, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
But the person saying it is kind of implying, "Oh, would you like to come with us?" But they never actually say the words.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
the words, weirdly enough, in language are kind of the important thing.
Yeah, I mean, we had this a few weeks ago, so it was my manager's birthday, big birthday this year, 60th.
He's an old man.
It was his 60th birthday this year, and he was having a big party at his house. And he'd been going on about this party for ages. Like, I knew when it was, I knew the deal, I knew everything about it, but I hadn't been explicitly invited. And so I was talking to one of my other co-workers, and I sort of asked her, I was like, "Have you been invited to this party?" She said, "Yeah." I was like, "I still haven't been invited." And she was like, "Well, of course you're invited. Why wouldn't you be invited?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know if I'm invited if I'm not directly asked, do I?
Yeah.
I'm not just going to assume I'm invited and just show up." And it was like bothering me for ages because I was supposed to just make an assumption that I was invited just because it had been mentioned in front of me or it had been talked about. I was like, I'm not happy with that assumption. At the moment, I'm assuming I'm not invited because I haven't been asked. And it was only when I was actually asked, kind of directly, like it was put out in a group chat that I'm in, I was like, I'm invited now. It's okay. I can be at peace. We need explicit invitations.
I think what we need to do is normalize like those kids like birthday invitation cards.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like a big, like colourful, "You're invited."
Yeah.
And it's got a date, a place, a time.
A dress code.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Well, it's funny because I saw something kind of about this on Instagram the other day that made me laugh. I think you were there when I was looking at it, where it said that a lot of people view autistic people or ADHD people, basically just neurodivergent people, as the ones that don't communicate properly or don't understand communication properly. But then it said that pretty much everybody who's neurodivergent has this real affinity with animals because, like, most neurodivergent people really get on with animals and animals really get on with them. And it was saying that actually if you group all animals together, humans included, it's actually neurotypical people that can't communicate properly because we understand animals and they understand us. Nobody understands neurotypical humans. At least animals tell you what they want. And if they're fed up with you, they'll let you know.
Yeah.
Whereas neurotypicals, no.
They leave it up to the artistic interpretation.
Yeah, they like to play special games with their words and say one thing, but really they mean something else, and you're supposed to figure it out.
Neurotypical people are basically like GCSE English. And they're basically the teacher going, "Yes, they say this, but what do they really mean?"
Yeah. What does the colour of this top symbolise?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
It's colour. They like it. I think they like the colour. And then it kind of spirals into a whole other thing because when you're in that kind of environment, you never know whether you're actually kind of welcome or liked. And it kind of, usually with me, I keep myself kind of on the edge of groups like that because I'm never sure whether they actually want me involved. So I just kind of keep it at arm's length. Whereas when there's somebody there that, you know, is explicitly kind of talking to you and telling you about things and inviting you to things, then you're like, okay, I feel like I can come into this and open up a bit more. I
think the issue that comes with like adult get-togethers is the over-reliance on talking or like conversation. Because like, as you get older, it's just all sitting around with like drinks and just spending time with each other and talking. Whereas if it's like a kid's birthday party, they got pizza, they got Mario Kart, they got Guitar Hero, they got stuff to do.
Yeah, genuinely.
Like if it was an adult party and they were like, "Hey, come in, we got pizza over there, got some drinks over there. We're gonna have a Mario Kart competition." Like a little bit later on. At the moment, Chloe's just shredding up Guitar Hero and refuses to let anyone else play.
As always. If anyone else played, they'd just be embarrassed, so it's not worth it. No, it's true. The party that I went to was a lot of kind of, I'd say the age range was mostly between like 40 and 60. The majority was probably 40 to 50, with one person 60. And then there was like a handful of people, so like me and maybe like 4 other people were in their 20s. And yeah, from what I remember, because it's quite a patchy memory, to be honest, but from what I remember, it was a lot of just standing around and chatting. And I really wanted to take a drinking game.
Yeah.
But like, there's like me and 4 other people there that could have played it, and I don't think 3 of them would have joined in anyway, so it would have just been me and one other guy. And it's like, why can't we play games? I don't want to meet people.
Yeah,
I don't want to talk about work.
Yeah, I think luckily with our generation, the games are coming back in.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see a schism in that party where most people are talking about mortgage rates.
Yeah.
And the others are going Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah, pretty much. That was what I had in mind. Or like Piccolo or something on your phone. But it does depend on the age range. I think a lot of people that are closer to early mid-20s now are more into, playing games and doing things rather than just kind of sitting and chatting. But yeah, I don't know whether, is that a bit of an ADHD specific thing? Because I've never really got a lot out of going to the pub or going to the bar with groups of people to just sit and talk. I've never got anything out of that. I've much preferred it when we've gone out and we've played a game, or we've gone to a bar that it has games, or we've been drinking and also doing an activity. Just sitting and talking's never been fun for me.
No, we don't get a lot out of conversation, unless like it's a really detailed debate on something we're into.
Yeah, most conversations just not very interesting. So I don't like doing it. And also, another reason why animals are better, because you don't have to have a conversation. Just sit together and understand each other and have a great time. And then laugh at their nonsense.
So yeah, so that was my Whit Friday experience. Some time ago.
See, but it did spark a thing about how it related to Spicy Brain.
I'm not saying there isn't a link. It's just that it's tangent on tangent on tangent on tangent. But then again, that's also kind of our thing. So
yeah,
tangents for days.
Mm-hmm. Now, would you like to share some details about the other musical event that we had going on?
Yes, so the other musical event that we went to was a couple of days ago. We went to go and see the Eagles.
Whoa!
In concert, who by this point I think have probably finished up their residency in Manchester.
Yeah, I think the last gig was the 6th.
Yeah, who knows?
By the time this comes out, I think they'll be probably gone or
they'll
soon
have
to go.
flown the coop.
Yeah.
Like regular eagles. Do eagles live in a coop?
Not really, not. I don't think so.
I think they're a bit big for a coop.
Yeah. Well, I think the human eagles were.
They were also too big for a coop.
Yeah, definitely. But, well, actually, they did play in a coop, though, didn't they?
They did play in a coop.
It was a really big coop.
Yeah, it was a very, very big square coop.
So it was big enough for them. That was good, wasn't it? That I think they were meant to be playing the 4th, 5th, and 6th of June, off the top of my head.
I mean, it's not like I've got a poster or anything with it on. But yeah, they've been playing at the Co-op Live in Manchester. If you're not keeping up with, which again, we got to assume you're not. Otherwise, that joke will have just gone right over your head like an eagle flying the coop.
So I'm still just rolling in that joke, and I'm really enjoying it because that was some strong wit from me. That was. I'm not usually that quick. Oh man, woo.
Revel in it.
That was good. That
Enjoy it while it lasts.
But that was good though, wasn't it? You got to admit that was pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty solid wordplay.
Oh, okay. I'll just laugh at myself internally so we can carry on.
So yeah, we went to go see the Eagles a couple of nights ago. So how can we tenuously link this to the autistic experience?
I mean, I feel like there's quite a lot involved in concerts.
Yeah.
We've probably talked about it a lot before.
Yeah, although I think one thing to kind of report back on is just like the effectiveness of decent earplugs.
Mm-hmm. Did you use... Because you got some new earplugs
Yeah.
recently, didn't you? Did you use those
Yeah.
ones?
Yeah.
And how were they?
Well, I got back and my ears were fine.
Okay.
Like, because I've used like my older, cheaper earplugs before at events stuff and come back and my ears have still been kind of a bit rocked.
Yeah.
But no, coming back with those ones, it was fine. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't have any issues.
Yeah, I mean, I found those have always worked. And I never go to a concert without them now after going to a concert without them and giving myself tinnitus forever,
Yeah.
which I still have.
Yeah, I think the whole experience at the Co-op Live, I think it was pretty smooth,
Yeah.
wasn't it? For all the the issues with getting it built on time
Yeah.
that they've been going through, I think the experience of actually getting in was pretty smooth. They were doing security pretty quick, weren't they?
Yeah. It felt very high tech. It felt very modern. Like the security scanners were super fast and quite clever to watch because you kind of stand in it for a second and then it would either give you like a pass or a fail if it picked up on something that it didn't like, and then you'd go and get searched by a person. But like just the way it was doing it was quite cool. And then this place is huge. Like it feels like it goes on forever. Just built really cleverly, and there's so many, like the way that they've done it with the kind of food and drinks, and they've got regular bars, but then they've got like little self-service kind of, it's almost like a Tesco Express setup, isn't it, or something like that, where you've got like the meal deal fridges and you can go in and you can get like a little drink and you can get like a snack and you can just pay for it on a self-service checkout. It's mental. Like, it's really quite cool.
Yeah, I reckon the place would be pretty well set up to host like a Comic-Con.
Yeah, I can see it being quite a good venue for stuff. I think the arena itself was nice. I wouldn't say that I was like blown away by the actual arena, but I think, like, how are you going to be? Because an arena's kind of an arena, isn't it?
Yeah,
really?
it's just kind of
Stage and seats in it. But
although the seats were quite small.
Yeah, the seats are a bit crap.
Like, they had cup holders on each of the arms, but if you wanted to sit with your back to the back of the seat, I mean, spare the thought, but you'd have to put both your arms around each of the cups because there wasn't enough space. The
cup holders were like kind of... Like, if you imagine a full-length armrest and then cut it in half, that was kind of about as long as it was. So just where you'd want to put your elbows was exactly where the cup holder was.
Just where you wanted to put your elbows was halfway into the next seat.
Yeah, to be fair. It was very tight, and even for me, and I'm quite small.
Yeah, the seats were also not very comfortable.
No.
And there wasn't a lot of legroom.
It was quite packed in. It felt a bit like the seating felt a bit like kind of a sports stadium almost.
Yeah.
That I imagine that would be like a kind of baseball stadium or something, like a cricket ground with like little foldable, flimsy plastic chairs. That was kind of how it felt. But yeah, it was good. And for guys that are like 70, they did kick ass.
All right, so Don Henley, the drummer / kind of only original member still playing / alive, is 76, and he was doing a lot of the drumming.
He was, man.
Joe Walsh, also 76.
I mean, he's a totally different story than he, as we've been saying.
Although, as we also discovered, and another tenuous link, Joe Walsh is apparently ADHD.
Yeah.
So he's one of us, people.
He said, I was watching an interview that he did. He was talking about one of his songs. It was on YouTube, and he was saying that basically he exists in his general life with just a bunch of random idea tidbits floating around in his head. And then when he starts to write a song, some of them just kind of come together and it just forms into something. But usually his brain is just kind of this mush of random ideas just floating around in a totally kind of disconnected way. And I was like, same.
Yeah, we get that. The last couple of nights, at about midnight, we've seen a family of foxes on our road just outside our window. We've just spent time watching them.
Yeah, it's probably been about half an hour just standing at the window watching them the other night. But I think it looks like a mum and like 4 babies maybe, because there's one that looks slightly bigger than the others. So that's kind of what I'm assuming. But yeah, there's 5 of them, and they just it's really funny to watch them jumping around and pouncing on each other and just zooming around the road. It's super cute, and it's nice, this is a nice note to end it on, I think. It's nice when you spend so much time existing out in a world that is so loud and so busy and so crowded and just so much, to then be able to stand at your window and watch these animals that are usually quite secretive and quite hidden away, just having a safe place to just run around and just just play. It's a kind of small reminder, I think, that not everything is kind of crazy and overwhelming and bad. Quite relaxing to see, and I appreciate it. I appreciate seeing their peace and their safety. But yeah, I love animals, and I do get quite upset when you look at the effect that kind of humans have on animals and on their space to live. So yeah, to watch a family running around and playing in the safety and in peace is just a bit of a nice refresher to my brain, and it takes away all the kind of negativity and criticism it has towards the world for a few minutes. But that's what animals do, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
And to bring peace. They're just so pure.
Well, with that, I think we should probably end the episode. Yeah, we should just rename this to Tangents Ahoy or something, you know?
Should we just change the whole podcast name
No.
to Tangents Ahoy?
We've already done that once.
I mean, that is the artistic experience,
Yep.
eh?
Tangents away.
Tangents Ahoy.
So the next episode is in 2 weeks' time, which should be the 23rd of June. That sounds like an important day. Why is that?
I don't know.
Me neither. Both get out phones. What's happening?
Calendar. I don't have anything on the 23rd of June.
No. Apparently it's National Porridge Day. That might be it.
Oh, I don't have National Porridge Day on mine. Damn. Well, I guess we know what we're doing on the 23rd of June. And so do everyone. All of you. You've been given enough warning. You've got 2 weeks. Go get your porridge. Let's celebrate. Bye.